Today we are going to build a new rear wheel spacer for customer's XS650. Done a lot of work on this bike already, but the customer brought in, supplied their own material because we've been doing everything out of brass, or bronze I guess. But it looks like someone's old punch that they got a pretty penny for on eBay. So we're going to make this into a customized copy of this. Now we need to measure. It's not going to do us any good to use a metric measurement, a metric dimension, when we use imperial measuring tools, and the lathe is even in imperial itself. It doesn't even cut metric threads. So we're going to go through, measure a bore, 788, sketch up a quick kindergarten style drawing. The bore 788, and we're only going to stick to the bore and the overall length, probably maybe keep the major diameter of this, but we are going to go full custom design with this. That the surface finish in that was junk to begin with, and then it went and got chromed, and now it's just rusting inside of it, so it wasn't even a good part to begin with. So we're going to try to make it better and suit the customer's needs a lot better than it does now. So 983 on the overall. And we'll take a major diameter just because I would like to stay with this to keep it, for it to look right. I'd like to keep this to make it look right as far as the rest of the bike goes, with the size of everything and the copies we've done of other things. So 1.38. So now, to keep with the style of the rest of the parts on this bike, instead of having this, what we'll probably do is make that minor diameter a little bit larger. So instead of, say, 1064 compared to 1382, we might make that 1 1/8, 1125, just to make this to not so much accentuate this step down, because the rest of the bike we've been grooving everything with a part off tool to texture it a little bit. You'll see what that looks like when we get to the lathe. But we have our measurements, we have our stock, we have our print, and it's time to go over to the lathe. And we're over at the lathe. Step number 1, we need to get this chucked up in here. Looks like we should probably use this end. It's not as mushroomed out as bad. We're just going to end up using this as a punch in the future, probably, to be honest. But and my spindle does not have a hole through large enough for this piece of stock, so we're limited to right about there, which will be fine for the operations we're doing today. I'm using the standard hard jaws because this isn't nice clean material. Yes, this indicator is missing its face cover. It's probably older than I am, to be completely honest, but it still works, and it's my favorite one to use over here. How close we're going to be able to get this to 0 is a crapshoot, but we'll try it.
Got my camera there. We're getting to be about as close as I'm gonna bother with this, with the surface that's on it. Right there,
we're down to within 4, it seems. I do believe we're going to be able to get a little bit closer though. And where we're at right now is perfectly fine for the material that's in there. We're going to get a lot of readings from the... Oh, there, I forgot I didn't have one tight. So now we got to go back in. There. Around, make sure all these are tight. Get this out of the way. And we will face it off. Checking to see I haven't turned down enough. Give us a good solid stop. I'll place the part off. Still no indicator. I know I have plenty of stock there to work with. As I said before, the tolerances on our measurements aren't super critical. So we're going to continue to use calipers. And we are at 1.723. Come in here. Touch off. Zero my indicator. Take about 340 thou off of this, so we're going to start. About the biggest cut I take on my lathe here is about 50 thou, just because I have no reason to push this machine. Now, my measurement was okay, and my lathe is cutting correctly. We should be in the area of 1.523. So it's 0, 1.521. So we're 2 thou under what I thought we were at. But we're going to take lighter cuts when we get down towards the end here. One more measurement to see what we need to set our cut for. 1.420. We need to take 40 thou off. So we'll dial in our lathe 20 thou aside. This cut should give us our finished outside dimension. This one more time. 1.380 on the dot. So our OD is finished. Now switch tools.
Touch that just on the face. So what we're going to do is go 1.4 rev on the indicator plus 25 thou. That'll give us an 8 inch cut on each side. That's where other grids are going to go.
From the flat part of the tip of the drill, from the very corner, I'll make a mark with a paint marker about 1 1/16 inch. That way I know our hole is drilled deep enough to part this off and not waste material when we part it off. There should be a small divot in there in the base material when we part this off. Notice the chip size changed when I got to the bottom of the hole. That's why I don't mark the larger sizes. And we are going to use my homemade boring bar holder to use these small boring bars. Another thing I couldn't justify spending the money on when I could make it in here. Now we're going to run this until it bottoms out right here. Now we know we're at the bottom of that hole. And I'm not forcing this, nothing hard, just we're at the bottom of our hole. Now my lathe has a carriage stop, an adjustable one. So I'm going to run it up there. What we'll do is make sure my feed is reverse. That way my carriage goes that way instead of towards the chuck when I fire it up. Touched off. Zero our cutter. Run it in, 10. Come down to the bottom of the hole. Which is a little bit far. See? We're at the bottom of our hole. Bring it out 10 and take our cut.
Stop our carriage. Move the tool out 20. So that's the cut we'd like to take. Set it to 0. Move it in 30 so we don't touch anything on the way in. Come back down the bottom of the board. Back out to a 0. Run the carriage.
See what the bore reads. We're at 772.
Put it back at the bottom of our board, where we started every cut so far. Fire it up. Move this out to a 0. Move the carriage. And this should be our final cut.
Stop our spindle. $789. We're 1,000 over. I'll take that, especially with the setup I'm running here. Now, pull this tool back out. And what we're going to do is put our parting tool back in. Our overall length is 983. So we're going to go back in for 983. I don't know if you can see the mark I made, but I can. So we're going to back out. Lock our tool down. I'm going to move our stop because we no longer need it. Okay. We're going to move our tool over here. And I can see that scratch better when it's turning.
Slow the carriage down so I don't get a whole lot of chatter. We'll wake up and we'll part this off. I don't want to get too hard. See, I've touched off already. We'll wake up low. Don't want to get too hot. We're going to go almost to where I think it's ready to part off.
Not almost part off, but somewhere to where I can get a file in here. And dress up these corners. So they're not sharp. They're not going to cut anybody changing a tire on this bike. I'm just holding the chuck key here to catch it when the part's off. I'll probably have a burr on the back side of this, depending on how straight my cutter is. How perpendicular to the part it is, I should say. Yep, the burr right on the back. So after machining, we have our original and our replacement. If you remember correctly, 983, 983. 380. 375. Like I said, the OD is not important on this. It was just whatever we wanted it to be and kept it close to stock. Internal 788. 787 and a half. If these are the original axle, original spacer. There's probably a couple thou play in that. New spacer. Fits exactly the same. Sits in exactly the same spot. And it'll look great on his custom build. One part down, one part to go. If you've made it this far into the video, I do assume that you have an interest in motorcycle parts and machining. And I did mention earlier that I have made other parts for this XS. This is a handlebar brace the customer had, and he wanted to replace this black piece of aluminum with bronze. We went through, did the same groove cutting technique to give it some character instead of just being a rod stuck in there. And especially with being this prominent on the bike up on the handlebars, he wanted something that wasn't just plain black, because this whole bike is riddled with custom parts that have been built here. And that being said, I do appreciate the time anyone has spent watching this video. It's my first YouTube video. I have next to zero experience with video editing and recording. And I mean, the last time I probably did anything like this was in high school. And that was when Macs first came out with a laptop, I think. So I do appreciate it. I will drop a link to my business pages, my Facebook and Instagram page, in the description, because this is my day job. I get to wake up every morning and come down here and work on stuff that I absolutely enjoy. And making this video has actually made me pay closer attention to what I'm doing here. It was an eye-opening experience to how much I don't pay attention to when I'm machining a part or designing a part. And it's been a very good experience for me so far, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you.